family. Welcome back to the Room to Breathe podcast. I am your host, Life Coach 614, and I'm so glad that you've made space to be here today. Now, before we get into this episode, do me a quick favor. If you're feeling the vibe, go ahead, show us some love by tapping that screen, liking, commenting, and be sure to share this out with someone who may need a little healing energy today. And if this is your first time here, or you haven't done so already, be sure to hit that follow button, subscribe to our channel, so that way you're always tapped in when a new episode drops. I also want to personally invite you to check out our digital home at theselfcareclub.org, where you'll find everything from affirmative apparel to motivational merch and free resources to nourish your growth and remind you that you're supported here every step of the way. Just know that you don't have to do this alone. We are healing in community, growing one breath, one moment, one space at a time. So if, again, you're here, kudos to you. Today, I want you to give yourself permission to pause, to reflect, and to make space for the peace, the growth, and most importantly, for yourself. Now, if anything in this episode hits home, be sure to drop some green hearts in the chat. It's our way of saying that I'm healing, I'm growing, and I'm showing up for me today. Now, let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. So today is day 2 of our 4-part mini-series, Petty But Peaceful. Welcome back, Miss Sherry. Hey, Focused. Welcome in, love. Again, today is day 2 of our Petty But Peaceful series. And if you tuned in yesterday, you already know we started this journey with the power of silence as your clapback, and how sometimes the fiercest response isn't throwing shade or catching receipts, but simply walking away with your peace intact. We talked about reclaiming the power quietly, choosing self-respect over petty revenge, and how your peace is louder than any post, any paragraph, or any heated conversation. So if yesterday's episode helped you, then, to sit in the power of, your silence without saying a word, then today is going to be for the ones who didn't pop off, but could have, right? You know, those moments where somebody played you, like they played right in your face, no filter, no respect, right? Expecting you to lose your cool. Like they just kept poking the bear, trying to get your attention. And maybe your spirit was ready to snap, to clap back hard, or to let the world know exactly how you felt. Right, Miss Sherry? But instead, you chose to do something different, right? You prayed. You protected your peace. And that, my love, is a flex. Okay? Because we're not petty for choosing peace. We're powerful for not letting pain pull us out of character. We're brave for knowing when to speak and when to sit back and just glow. So before we jump in, I want you guys to do something with me. Take a deep breath. Inhale through your nose. Exhale from your mouth. Again, inhale peace. Let it fill every corner of your spirit. Now exhale performance. Release that need to prove, explain, or perform for anyone's approval. Because this moment is for you. No judgment, no expectations, just healing, growth, and unapologetic self-love. Now, have y'all ever had that moment where you shocked yourself how calm you were? Like you read their text or heard their slick little comments, right? You saw the shade, felt the disrespect creeping in, yet you still chose peace. And I'm not talking about that kind of peace that's performative, right? Not the fake smile and it's okay when your spirit knows that it's not. But the kind of peace that says, "Ooh, it's a good thing I ain't who I used to be. And thank you, God, for that." Coach, you know what I'm talking about, right? And, if I think back, y'all, we haven't always been this healed, right, Bryn? Like, there was a version of me who would have just lit it up, y'all. I'm talking text threads, voice notes, paragraphs with timestamps, bullet points. Like, baby, I would have illustrated the whole thing. I would have made sure you knew where you messed up. Like the exact turn where you messed up and had me effed up, right? But now I simply value my silence. Now I understand that, every action doesn't deserve a reaction. Welcome in, Kale. And I know that every situation doesn't require my energy. I changed the day I realized that clapping back cost me my peace. And, my peace is too expensive. My presence is like premium, top notch. You're welcome, love. My spirit is not up for negotiation, right? See, the old me reacted to everything because I needed to feel seen. But this version of me, the one sitting here before you today, she knows she's rooted, right? I don't chase validation. I don't need to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding me, right? Because when you start healing for real, and I'm talking for deep, generational, soul level healing, it's not about letting things slide. It's about letting things go. And it's not a sign of weakness. It is wisdom. It's not avoidance. It is elevation. You see, people expect you to come undone, right? They want the drama. They live for the chaotic scenes. They want the reaction that says, "I'm still accessible to your chaos." But when you simply sit back, breathe deep, and say nothing, oh, baby, that's when they feel it the most. Because silence is like the new sacred. Okay? That's that grown man, grown woman glow up. That's the boundary with no announcement. You don't owe anybody a breakdown just to prove that you've been hurt. You don't owe them an outburst to validate the pain you felt. And most importantly, you don't owe them a closure. Sometimes your calm is the most confusing thing that can serve somebody who expected a storm from you. So yeah, when I think about the people who played in my face, but I didn't flinch, I didn't fold, I didn't lose my crown, I just sat there silently choosing me. Because that's the moment that I realized that I didn't need to react to reclaim my worth. I just needed to remember who I was and whose I was, right? I can tell you guys of one exact moment that I knew I had grown, right? A while back, somebody that I deeply cared about, someone who knew my heart, who had a front row seat to my healing, played me, y'all. And it wasn't just, a little slip up. I'm talking about disrespect in bold print, all caps, no apology, no accountability. And somehow they expected me to keep showing up like nothing happened. Right? And listen, the old me would have pulled up emotionally and spiritually. Like I would have lit up the group chat, scheduled a whole entire TED talk with, detailed notes. I probably would have written a song or a poem by the end of the night, y'all. But when it happened, I didn't do any of that, right? I just sat with myself. I lit a candle and I cried about it. Then I got up, I took a deep breath, and I whispered, "This part of me doesn't live here anymore." You guys know I'm always saying, hey, Rye Guy, I'm always saying old Helen is gone, right? Y'all know that Tyler Perry movie I'm talking about. So yeah, that part of me just doesn't live here anymore. Old Helen, she's gone. And I meant that. Not because I was hurt, not because I didn't deserve a response, but because I have been working too hard to build this life that I don't have to recover from. See, for years, we've lived a life that we have to recover from. But now, this life that I am building intentionally, I'm not going to have to recover from that. I've worked too hard to protect this version of me. The soft version, the healed version, the no longer, explaining my boundaries version. That's right. Okel is gone, honey. She don't live here no more. We return to sender. No forwarding address. You will not find me. I am off the grid. Okay. And so, as we're working hard to protect ourselves, now we've evolved to the one that just simply doesn't want to entertain the chaos. We're just doing the best that we can, right? And, what was wild about that whole situation is that they noticed the silence, right? They tried to bait me back in with, her little backhanded comments, calling me like different or telling me that I'm just being cold, right? Like making it seem like it was all about me. Hey, Steph, welcome in, love. Thank you. She tried to make it seem like it was all about me. But what she didn't realize is that my silence wasn't meant as shade. It was just sovereignty. It was just sacred for me. And, it was me choosing not to burn down my own peace just to prove a point to her. So instead, I prayed. I released her with love. I blocked her with love too, just so y'all know, right? Spoiler alert. But you can be gracious and still be gone. It's like, I could forgive you. I could pray for you because I want you to eat. I just have no intentions on serving you at this table anymore, right? Because that's part of the old me being gone. The old me would have just swept it under the rug. I would have been very understanding, very kind, very demure. But over the years, as I get older, I'm still very understanding, very calm. But I'm a little more to fuck. Like, we're not going to do that anymore. You've lost access to me, right? It's like you can forgive, but still be free. And sometimes the most healed thing that you can do is walk away from them without an announcement. Like I told y'all, she said what she said. I felt how I felt. It is what it is. Now I'm done. This part is over. Right? Yeah. Hashtag block them with love. Tell them, Cardi, respectfully, I'm going to have to let you go. Thank you. Thank you. Right? So listen, for a long time, I feel like many of us were praised by our performance, right? And so in this season, I feel like a lot of us are unlearning performing. We're so used to performing strength versus actually embodying our strength. And so, how do I want to put this? We've been told to stay classy, right? Stay classy, rise above. And so over the years, many of us have been smiling through the shade, over explaining our no's to keep the peace with people, right? Posting a cute quote while privately holding on to the pain because we didn't feel safe enough to say it out loud, right? So we perform being okay. We show up, we put on a brave face, hey, goddess wisdom, and we perform, we pretend like we're okay. Because we feel a little too vulnerable to let people know, hey, I'm not okay today, right? But healing is not a stage. And peace is not a performance. You don't have to look like strength for it to be strength, right? Sometimes our power sounds like, I'm unavailable for this energy. I don't owe access to you just because I used to, right? Sometimes the most powerful thing that we could, understand or say or do is, understanding that it's okay to say I prayed, I processed, and I protected myself, right? See, the old versions of us would have just bent over backwards, trying to be the bigger person, not realizing how exhausting it is, right? And we're constantly going out here just draining ourselves to get applause from people who were never clapping for our well-being in the first place. Being the bigger person doesn't mean being the broken one. It doesn't mean staying silent when you need to speak up or staying connected to people who disrespect your growth. So now for me in my journey, I choose not to perform strength. I choose to protect it. I protect it by being intentional about who gets my energy, my time, my emotional access. Because I'm not for the streets. I'm not for everybody. And so for some of us, that might look like not replying to a text message, not entertaining that back and forth, right? Not entertaining the boundary, not explaining the boundary for the 15th time. Like asked and answered, I said no, period. Not going to a function where the vibes ain't right. See, not every invitation deserves my presence. Because some invitations come from people who don't value your presence as a gift. And if someone can't value your presence, just you being there, then there's no reason you should be present. Like, again, you're not going to play in my face. You're not going to waste my time. For some of us, it may look like not opening the door just because somebody finally decided to knock. I'm the type of person where if I say I ain't home, I ain't home. And I don't care if you see me in the front yard. If I said I'm not home, I'm not home. Because again, I'm not for everybody. Right? Because what they don't tell you is that your silence, your peace is also spiritual. Not everyone is meant to witness your healing in real time. Some people only knew you through the lens of your pain. Some people are only drawn to you because of the mess and the stress and the chaos and destruction that has surrounded you. And so when you stop performing, all of a sudden they stop recognizing you. But that's not your problem to solve. You are simply meant to continue walking in your purpose because you're no longer required to suffer. Excuse me. You're no longer required to suffer in a silence that, is just comfortable for other people. Thank you, love. How you feeling today? You're no longer obligated to keep playing a role just so people don't feel convicted by your boundaries. This season is all about sacred power. It's all about honoring your peace in private, even when the old you wants to respond to them. It's about knowing that prayer is not passive. Prayer is powerful. Peace is a protest, and silence is sovereignty. And growth doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it just comes with stillness, right? And that deep knowing that you choose yourself without needing to be seen. Welcome in, Charity. Let's take a little pause here for just a moment, you guys. I want to do just a guided visualization with you, honoring our shift from performance to power. If you are somewhere safe, I want you to close your eyes or simply soften your gaze and let this moment be yours. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it, And now slowly exhale from your mouth, allowing your shoulders to drop. Unclench your jaws. Uncurl your hands. Let the tension melt off your spirit. Breathe in. Breathe out. And as you continue to focus on your breathing, I want you to imagine yourself standing center stage in a dark theater. You've just finished a performance, strong, polished, composed. The crowd is clapping, they're applauding you, but you feel tired, heavy, unseen. And as you stand there, lights still on you, ask yourself, who was I performing for? What parts of me did I have to silence so the audience would clap? Take one more breath. And as you focus on your breath, picture yourself walking off that stage. But this time, you're not rushing. You're moving with intention. And as you reach backstage, there's a mirror. And this mirror is not for makeup. This mirror is for truth. And as you look into the mirror, you say, I am no longer performing peace. I now live in it. I don't need this applause to know that I have grown. My power is not in how they see me, but it is in how I see myself. And now I want you to see yourself walking away from that mirror. You feel lighter, freer, still powerful, but no longer pretending. You are not the show anymore. You are the sanctuary. Your peace is not up for public consumption. Your healing does not need an audience. Take another deep breath in. Hold it. Now release it slow and steady. Let that breath be your permission to stop performing. Let it be your reminder that you are enough. And when you are ready, I want you to slowly bring your attention back to this space. Wiggle your fingers. Roll your shoulders. And return to your body with grace. All right. I hope that feels good. You guys let that energy sit in with you. And as we re-enter this conversation, I want us to talk about attitude, right? Some people call it attitude. I call it alignment, Welcome in, Lady Blue. Hey, Papa V. All right, guys. So listen, let's get back into it. Because I feel like the more healed you become, the more people will begin to try to label your clarity as coldness. They refer to your boundaries as walls. They call your distance petty. They call your peace an attitude. But what they didn't realize, right? Or what they're actually reacting to is your alignment, right? They don't recognize you anymore because, oh, Kale is gone, right? And it's not because you've become somebody else, it's because you've returned to who you were before people pleasing, before the trauma, before the betrayal turned you into a version of yourself who was just trying to survive. Now you're not surviving. Silverhair Fox, welcome in. You're not surviving, you're sovereign. See, alignment isn't about just being calm. It's about being clear. Clear on what you allow, clear on who gets access to you, clear on the energy that you welcome in your space, and also what gets escorted out without notice. And clarity, it shakes people who once thrived on your confusion. See, when you were unclear, they had access to you, right? When you were unsure, they had power over you. When you were constantly doubting yourself, they could manipulate the narrative to fit them. But now, because you're not confused, you're connected. You're connected to your intuition. You are connected to your boundaries. You are connected to the version of you that doesn't need permission to be whole. And here's the thing, you're not doing too much. You're doing what's required to protect the healed you. So yeah, you're different now. And that's the point. You're not the person who let disrespect slide. You're not the one who tolerated being somebody's afterthought. You're not the version of yourself who kept shrinking just to fit into rooms where, your power made other people uncomfortable. This new version of you doesn't explain themselves 1,000 times. Doesn't, soften their boundaries to keep the peace. This new version of you understands that peace without alignment is still self-abandonment. Welcome in, Unicorn. So let me say this again for somebody's spirit. Peace without alignment is still self-abandonment. So the next time somebody tries to show up to guilt trip you, to gaslight your growth, know that you don't owe them an attitude adjustment. You just owe yourself continued alignment. Let them call it what they want. Let them whisper, let them speculate, allow them to accuse. Hey, do you? You're not here to be understood by those who benefit from your silence. You are here to be aligned, to be whole, and deeply and divinely at peace, even if that peace is misunderstood by others. Y'all type in the chat for me, I ain't bitter, I'm better. I ain't bitter, I'm better. I want to share this little piece with y'all I wrote. I don't know it by heart yet, so give me a second. I got to pull it up, y'all. Okay, so this is called I Ain't Bitter, I'm Better. I am not bitter, I'm better. Not because I forgot, but because I finally remembered me. I ain't pressed, I'm protected. My peace is premium. And baby, you need a whole subscription to access this energy. I don't throw shade, I plant boundaries. I don't clap back, I close chapters. And I don't chase closure because clarity came when I chose me. I bless what broke me, but I don't sit in the rubble. I learned the lessons, returned the energy to sender, and walked off, not in anger, but in alignment. See, I ain't petty, I'm precise. I'm not mad, I'm masterfully moved on. So no, I'm not bitter, I'm better, brighter, bolder, and beautifully, intentionally unbothered. Let's talk about this label bitter, right? Hey Lynn, welcome in, sis. Beast Barbie's art, welcome in. Misunderstood, I see you, welcome in. Let's talk about this label bitter for all of y'all. And y'all still keep putting I ain't bitter, I'm better in the chat. It's interesting to me how quickly people will call a woman bitter when she's finally saying no, when she's finally standing up for herself. Thank you, Charity. Right? When a woman stops answering texts, only, the messages that come through like after midnight, right? Now she's bitter. When she sets that boundary, right? Or, she sets the boundary with her family and suddenly everybody wants to label her as disrespectful. And this goes for the men too, y'all. This is not just women, right? When you start choosing yourself after years of being emotionally exhausted, now all of a sudden you're doing too much. When what we're actually doing is growing. See, calling someone bitter is a lazy attempt of gaslighting their growth. It's a distraction tactic. Because if they can convince you that you're bitter, then maybe you'll start doubting your boundaries. Maybe you'll start shrinking again. Maybe you'll let them back in, with the same drama wrapped in a different excuse. But today, I encourage us to cancel that narrative. You're not bitter, you're brave. You're not cold, you're conscious. And, now that you're conscious, you're woke, you're alert to it, you're not going to allow that anymore. Again, you're not angry, you're awake. Welcome in. Hey, Buddha. Hey, Josiah. Let me flip it on you for a moment. What if the part of you that they call bitter is actually the healed version of you that's just done playing small? Because healing will make you look different to people who benefited from your silence, from the chaos, right? Healing will make you look unrecognizable to folks who only knew the version of you that tolerated too much. And let's be real. Sometimes, what they call petty is actually you preserving your peace. Like not responding to, hey, big head texts, right? Or leaving them on red because your spirit already read them for filth. Like nothing left to be said. That's not bitterness. That is emotional intelligence. So ask yourself, who was it that labeled you bitter? Right? Who labeled me as bitter when I was trying to heal? Have I ever held back my truth just to keep from being misunderstood? And, as you're reflecting on that, take some time, sit with it, write it down, reclaim it, and understand that moment didn't make you bitter. It built your backbone. Sometimes choosing peace looks petty to people who are used to chaos. But here in our community, we're not explaining our healing anymore. We're just simply here showing up, embodying it. So now that we've unpacked what it means to be better, not bitter, it's time for us to start this real work. The kind of work that stays long after this episode ends. Healing isn't just about understanding what happened. It's about owning the way you show up after it happens. It's about taking radical ownership of boundaries, your peace. Hey, Miss Glow, welcome in, Queen. It's about taking ownership of your boundaries, your peace, and your power. And that is a lifelong process. So I encourage you guys this week to, like I said, spend some time and sit with these thoughts. I want you guys to find a quiet space. Maybe light a candle, right? Y'all could turn on some Room to Breathe vibes. And, just take your journal, open up your notes app, and create a sacred space for you to be honest, raw, and unapologetically you. And I want you to ask yourself these questions, and I don't want you to rush through them. You guys can always come back here to find the questions again. You'll be able to pause, save, all of that. But question number 1, what boundaries have I set that felt petty or too much to others, but were necessary for my peace? What boundaries have I set that felt petty or too much to others, but were necessary to my peace? And I want you to let yourself name those boundaries without judgment. This is your story, not their opinion. Okay. Number 2, when did I last choose me over someone else's comfort, and how did that feel? When did I last choose me over someone else's comfort, and how did that feel? Welcome in, Coco. Did you feel guilty? Did you feel relieved, conflicted? Whatever it is, I want you to own those emotions. There's no right or wrong answer. They're all valid. Number 3, where am I still performing peace instead of living it? Where am I performing peace instead of living it? Is there a situation or relationship where you're still explaining your no, begging for closure, or silently tolerating energy that's beneath your healing? And then lastly, number 4, what step can I take today to protect my peace more fiercely? What's one step that I can take today to protect my peace more fiercely? Maybe it's deleting a contact, saying no without over-explaining, or simply taking a day for yourself without feeling the need to justify it. And I want you guys to affirm this truth as you write or reflect. And that truth is that I am allowed to protect my peace with boldness and grace. I am allowed to protect my peace with boldness and grace. Remember, protecting your peace is bold, it is brave, it is sacred. And here's the best part. When you honor your boundaries, you're not only healing yourself, but you're teaching others how to respect you, right? We're mirroring to others the respect that we expect and that we deserve. All right, family. So now that we've unpacked the differences between bitterness and boundaries and honored the courage that it takes to choose yourself over comfort, it is time to go deeper. This is the sacred pause, the moment where you intentionally step off, the treadmill of performance and fully step into your power. Again, find that quiet spot, your sanctuary, do the work, knowing that, again, this is the time for you, okay? Get your journal. Like I said, ask yourself the questions. And just a quick recap, what boundaries have I set that other people have considered or called petty? My spirit knows they were necessary though, right? How does it feel? Or, when did I last choose me over somebody else's comfort? Where am I still performing peace instead of living it? And, the one step that I can take today to protect my peace more fiercely. And, like I said, once you journal, just spend that time in that moment, closing your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, feeling, everything that you need to feel in the moment, because it may bring up some feelings, and that's okay. Just sit with them. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. Simply place your hand on your heart and whisper, I honor my peace. I protect my power. I am worthy of rest and respect. I honor my peace. I protect my power. I am worthy of rest and respect. If you have a candle lit, when you blow that candle out, use that, as a symbol of releasing an old pattern that no longer serves you. Constantly reminding yourself, I am allowed to protect my peace with boldness and grace. Let those words be your shield and your anthem. Because again, healing is not just about feeling better. It is about acting better. It's about making choices that honor your growth every day, especially when it's hard. I want you guys to really be intentional about what you're doing. And if you are looking at things and saying, Dad, I really need a realignment, that's okay. We all get off course sometimes. It's like when you're driving in the car and you have your GPS going and you miss a turn. The whole trip isn't over. It just says it's recalculating. And so for some of us, we've missed some turns in our life and we think we just have to throw it all away. It's over, right? But really, we just have to recalculate. We just have to realign our roadmap. And the first step in realignment is identifying, the energy drain, figuring out where in my life am I still feeling drained, disrespected, overlooked. It might be a relationship, a friend, a family member, a colleague, a habit, right? For some of us, it looks like scrolling social media too much or saying yes when we really wanted to say no. Maybe if it's a mindset, right? Like guilt, people pleasing, the fear of being too much. Just name it clearly. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't minimize it. Because clarity is your first power move. Welcome in, Chicken Wing. So again, identify where your energy is being drained. That is your step one. Step two is going to be to define your boundary. Once you name the drain, ask yourself, what boundary do I need to set to protect my peace here? And understand that boundaries come in many forms. Saying no to requests that overwhelm you, that's a boundary. Limiting time spent with toxic people, that's a boundary. Choosing not to engage in certain conversations, that's a boundary. Protecting your mental space by muting or unfollowing negativity online, boundary. Simply giving yourself permission to rest without an apology, big flex, big boundary, right? So, write down what that boundary looks like in action and be as detailed as possible. Mr. Jackson, welcome in. The clearer you are, the easier it is to enforce. And so once you make it through step one and step two, step three is to plan your response. Setting a boundary means that you'll likely face resistance from others, maybe even from yourself. So it's important for us to plan ahead, asking ourselves, okay, how am I going to communicate this boundary? Is it something that I'm going to say directly? Does it just look like me limiting my availability? Am I just going to, step away without explanation? And even more importantly, how will I hold my ground when I'm challenged? Am I going to repeat my boundary calmly? Will I simply disengage? Hey, Bella. Will you remind yourself why this boundary matters? See, knowing your strategy empowers you to stay firm without burning out. Because again, once we start setting boundaries, people are going to push the limit because they want that old thing back. And that leads us right into number 4. Take intentional action. This is where the magic happens, y'all. You commit to enforcing your boundaries starting today, right? Intentional, purposeful action. And that might look like declining an invitation that doesn't serve your mental health. It might look like turning off notifications from a group chat that is draining your energy. Saying no to an extra project or favor that pulls you away from your self-care. Choosing to pause or even end a conversation that is disrespecting your limits. Remember, every no that you say to others is a yes to yourself. Thank you, sissy. And then step 5, you guys, reflect and adjust. Boundaries are not just a set it and forget it, okay? Healing is a process. So you have to check in with yourself regularly. Ask, how does this boundary feel in practice? Now that I've said it and I'm doing it, how do I feel? Are you maintaining it with grace, or do you feel guilt or doubt creeping in? And, maybe it's asking yourself, what adjustments can you make to better honor your peace? So again, this stage requires, us to journal or talk about these reflections in our trusted circles. Those of you who have a coach, share that with your coach. Understanding that growth is a journey and flexibility with firmness is our secret weapon. Like we can be flexible and firm at the same time. Setting and holding boundaries is not selfish. Again, that is another sacred form of self-care. It is the clearest form of self-respect. And it's how you teach the world how to treat you. So as you take these steps, celebrate every victory, whether it's big or small, because each boundary that you honor is a brick of foundation to your freedom. If you are still waiting on closure from somebody who already showed you exactly who they are, let me just go ahead and save you some time and energy. Stop. Stop hoping for apologies that never come. Stop replaying conversations that left you drained, that made you doubt yourself. If you are someone who is still making space for folks who don't make space for you, who disrespect your growth, who treat your boundaries like suggestions, stop. Stop bending over backwards to keep the peace at your own expense. Stop explaining your no like you owe someone an essay or a PowerPoint presentation, because you don't. Because here's the real tea, I guess. And y'all gonna want to sip this one slowly, right? Not too much. I prayed for you. And I set up those good vibes and healing energy. And then I blocked you. And that's okay, right? That's what we have to tell them. I prayed for you. I sent positive energy and good vibes and healing energy your way. And then I let you go. I blocked you. And guess what? That's not petty. That is protection. That is wisdom wrapped up in self-love. That is the sound of a king or a queen who knows their worth and refuses to negotiate their peace. So you can keep your receipts, keep your drama, keep the why won't you talk to me text and your, thinly veiled apologies. Because over here, we are too busy investing in our own glow up. Too busy healing, growing, and protecting this sacred space that we've built around our hearts. And if you don't like it, honey, that sounds like an issue, not me. That's not my problem. because silence was my clapback. Prayer was my armor. And these boundaries are not just lines. I done built a whole damn kingdom with them. So go ahead, talk your talk, post your shade, wonder why we're cold and why we're different. And just know that over here, we are too busy walking the walk, moving forward, breathing easy, and showing up fully for ourselves. Allow this to be your reminder that you don't owe anyone a reaction. You don't owe anyone a second chance. Hey, Miss Portia. And you definitely don't owe anyone the version of you that was exhausted, depleted, and too available. So if they want to label us petty, hey, stay petty, stay peaceful. But most importantly, above all, stay protected. Because when you protect your peace, you protect your power, and that is the real flex. Now, if y'all thought today was fire, wait until tomorrow. We're going to be diving deep into the moment that they called our peace, our attitude, right? When they try to say like, our peace is our attitude. You know what I mean? Like everybody said, oh, she's being different, right? And we're going to talk more about how our boundaries are quote unquote too much. When it comes to alignment, we have to understand that it's not an attitude problem, I guess. It's more of a power move, right? That is our sacred self-advocacy wrapped up in holy clarity. And honey, listen, tomorrow we're going to unpack why you don't have to shrink to make yourself more comfortable to other people. So make sure you guys come back ready to claim your calm. Keep it cute. Right? Listen, before we part ways, let me leave you guys with a little love and light. As always, I encourage you to keep breathing through the highs, the lows, and every single moment in between. I want you to keep choosing peace, even if it feels just out of reach. And know that here at the Self-Care Club, you are always seen, always valued, and always supported. Don't be afraid to take up space, speak your truth, and make a little room for you to breathe. I love each and every one of you to life, and I pray that your day is not just amazing, but aligned, intentional, and yes, on purpose, filled with purpose. This has been a Room to Breathe podcast, and I cannot wait to connect with you again soon. Thank you.